On August 23rd, Shilo Sanders completely lost his composure during the Buccaneers preseason matchup and threw a punch straight at Zach Davidson.
That's the tight end, Zach Davidson.
Right there in front of everyone. His father, Deion "Primetime" Sanders, didn't hold back his reaction either. When asked about it after the game, he basically said what every coach was thinking. That wasn't it. Now that single swing might be the very reason Shilo never steps foot on an NFL field again. Let's break down the moment that could change his entire career. It happened on August 23rd, 2025. A simple exhibition game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Buffalo Bills. The kind of game most fans barely remember. But this one turned unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. And please hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you think. Shilo, the 25-year-old son of one of football's biggest legends, walked onto that field with way more than just shoulder pads on his back. He was carrying his father's shadow, the family name, and the pressure to finally prove himself.
Coach, congratulations. What was your reaction to the last play of the game?
You don't want to know. I don't use profanity, but I thought it.
From South Carolina to Jackson State and then Colorado, he'd followed his dad's trail, putting up solid numbers. 148 tackles, 6 picks, and 7 forced fumbles over 52 games. Impressive stuff. But even with all that, the NFL didn't call his name in the 2025 draft. So this preseason was supposed to be his big redemption shot. Instead, it turned into the nightmare that might define him forever. It was a harsh wake-up call for Shilo Sanders, who'd grown up believing he was meant for N.F.L. greatness. The Buccaneers gave him a lifeline, signing him as an undrafted free agent on April 26, 2025. Not a promise, just a chance. Undrafted players fight impossible odds, battling against draft picks with guaranteed money and big expectations.
That's the tight end, Zach Davidson. Swing, Sanders. Right there. And a shove back.
And that's not going to be good.
For either Sanders.
Through 3 preseason games, his numbers were quiet. Just 4 solo tackles and a handful of snaps. By the finale against Buffalo, he got only 12 plays on defense, barely enough to make an impression. Every second counted. Every mistake could end his dream. Then came the moment everything went sideways. Shilo lined up across from Zach Davidson, Buffalo's 6'7", 251-pound tight end fighting for a roster spot of his own. The play looked normal, a simple run. But after the whistle, Davidson kept pushing, driving Shilo into the turf with what many later called a cheap shot. That late contact lit the fuse for everything that followed. That extra shove after the whistle, that little bit of disrespect was all it took, Shilo snapped. In a flash, he swung a right hook that smacked straight into Davidson's helmet, the sound of his fist hitting the face mask echoing through the thick Florida air. It was pure emotion, raw frustration, a split-second meltdown that would change everything for him. The refs didn't hesitate. Flag thrown, ejection announced. Just like that, his shot at an NFL career went up in smoke. As Shilo walked off the field, reality hit hard. This wasn't college anymore. No reputation, no famous last name could save him here.
Would you say to Shilo Sanders after that ejection?
I know you can't throw punches in this league. I mean, that's inexcusable. They're going to get you every time. Got to grow from that.
Head coach Todd Bowles, known for his calm but cold honesty, didn't sugarcoat it afterward. His words cut deep. You can't throw punches in this league. It's inexcusable. He has to learn from it. The message was final. The Bucs were done with him. And the sad part? Reports later revealed Shilo was crushed in the locker room, instantly apologetic, knowing he might have thrown away everything he'd worked for. Team insiders even said they liked his hustle and saw promise on special teams, but after that swing, those chances disappeared in one brutal moment. The irony was brutal. The same fire and aggression that made Shilo Sanders stand out in training camp had just turned into the very thing that destroyed his shot at the NFL. The kid who earned praise for locking down tight ends one-on-one had now crossed that razor-thin line between passion and punishment, and he did it at the worst possible time. Within minutes, the clip of Shilo's punch hit every platform: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, blowing up like wildfire. Fans went crazy. Some had his back, saying, "Davidson started it, Shilo just reacted." Others weren't so forgiving, calling the swing reckless. One fan summed it up perfectly. "Dude deserved it, but I hate that it had to be Shilo." Then came the digging. Reporters resurfaced that old 2015 high school case where Shilo allegedly got into it with a security guard, a mess that ended in a massive $11.89 million judgment and bankruptcy. Critics started connecting dots, calling it a pattern of behavior, while supporters pushed back, saying, "He's grown up. Don't define him by his past." Still, the punch was thrown, and the fallout was just beginning. The real question wasn't about Shilo anymore. It was about his father. Would Deion "Prime-Time" Sanders defend his son, or stay silent this time? The sports world waited, holding its breath, knowing whatever Deion said next could change the entire story. Deion Sanders was known for his electric pressers, viral quotes, and unwavering loyalty to his sons. The man was always front and center when it came to family. But when Shilo's career took a nosedive after that ejection, Deion's reaction caught everyone off guard. There was no fiery defense, no excuses, no public finger-pointing at refs or opponents. Just silence, calm, and something way deeper. Less than 24 hours after the incident, Deion posted a Bible verse on X, formerly Twitter. "From my earliest youth, my enemies have persecuted me, but they have never defeated me." Psalms 129 verse 2. That's all he said. Short, cryptic, and powerful.
You cut him early. You know why? Because today and tomorrow, everybody will be cutting players. And a lot of the veteran players. So the teams out here won't claim him off waivers because they know a rush of veteran players and they are coming. And they have to save those spots to see if they can get one of those guys that can help them win right now. That's why Tampa releasing Shilo this early gets him lost in the mix so they can have an opportunity to bring him back on the practice squad because he's the best kind of practice squad player. Remember, they got to tell him to slow down and stop. Don't hit people. Don't do that. Don't go too hard.
The verse had actually been first posted by his oldest son, Deion Sanders Jr., and then reshared by Coach Prime himself, sending a quiet but heavy message about family unity through struggle. Fans couldn't help but wonder if it was meant for the world or for Shilo directly. The timing couldn't have been worse for the Sanders family. Not only was Shilo ejected and possibly facing the end of his NFL hopes, but his younger brother Shedeur was also having a rough outing with the Browns. 5 sacks, barely any completions, a nightmare game. For a family used to shining under bright lights, this was a brutal weekend. Yet, instead of showmanship, Deion showed spiritual strength. No flash, no bravado, just faith. A rare moment where the man known for confidence and fire chose peace instead. Deion had never been shy about going to bat for his sons. He'd challenged coaches, questioned playing time, and made it clear that if anyone had an issue with his boys, they'd have to deal with him first. But the NFL was a whole different beast. No favoritism, no special treatment, just results. This wasn't college ball where Deion's fame carried weight. This was the pros, where only performance and discipline kept you standing. Even Legends kids have to earn every inch, and the NFL doesn't care about your last name, only your play and your poise. In a Bleacher Report interview around that time, Deion shared how he viewed his son's transitions to the league. "My deal with my kids is that they don't have to be the best, but they do have to give their best. They're mature, they know what they're facing, and I'm excited to see them overcome adversity and shine." Those words showed a father who got it. He knew he couldn't shield them forever. The league was its own battlefield, and his sons had to fight their own fights. Despite the media spinning stories about him calling out Shilo, no proof ever surfaced that Deion condemned his son for that punch. His tone stayed calm and controlled. He wasn't defending the act, but he wasn't destroying his kid either. Instead, he chose to let the lesson play out, supporting from a distance like a coach who knew growth sometimes comes with pain.
Shedeur Sanders looked very, very bad. Very bad. There's no way around that against third and fourth stringers. What you talk about, 11 dropbacks, 5 sacks, just 3 completions, 4 3-and-outs in 5 series, 1 fumble recovered by a teammate. Those were the numbers, and it doesn't mean he can't play in the NFL. It means that he had a very, very bad afternoon. But it was a very bad afternoon, and because it was a very bad afternoon, one could easily argue that Kevin Stefanski was trying to save him from himself.
When Shilo Sanders got ejected for targeting during a 2023 college game, Deion didn't lash out. He wrapped his arm around him instead, choosing comfort over criticism. It showed what kind of father he was, one who believed his sons already faced enough judgment from the outside world and didn't need more coming from home. But not everyone saw it that way. Some critics claimed that Deion's protective nature was part of the problem, that by shielding his sons too often, he'd made them unprepared for the harsh realities of the NFL. Others on social media pointed fingers at Deion's fame itself, saying his superstar image brought more pressure than support, turning every mistake into a headline. Then things really exploded when Antonio Brown, never one to stay quiet, jumped into the chaos. He posted online, "Whole Sanders fam gonna end up getting cut out the league." A low blow, clearly aimed at Shilo's release and Shedeur's struggles. It wasn't just trash talk, it was personal. But instead of firing back, Deion stayed classy. He didn't bite, didn't argue, didn't fuel the fire. He just offered well wishes, showing he'd learned to rise above the noise. That calm response caught people off guard. The same man who once lived for showdowns was now choosing grace over drama. Reactions across the NFL were split. Some called it maturity, others said he'd gone soft. But one thing was clear, Deion Sanders had evolved, and this time, he wasn't fighting for the spotlight. He was fighting to keep his family's dignity intact. Shannon Sharp, Hall of Famer and co-host of the Nightcap podcast, saw Deion's Bible verse not as shade, but as a message of strength and family unity. He praised Deion for staying solid under pressure, saying it showed true parenting, calm, loyal, and unshaken when the world was watching. Chad Ochochinco Johnson backed that take too, calling the verse motivational, pointing out that it fit perfectly with Deion's long history of standing up for his sons in public. Media analysts quickly jumped in, noting how much Deion had evolved as both a dad and a public figure. The man once known for his wild celebrations and bold trash talk was now handling his family's toughest moment with patience and poise. It was a clear sign he understood that the NFL wasn't college. His sons didn't need hype anymore. They needed quiet strength. Then came the blow no one wanted to see. On August 24th, less than 24 hours after the infamous punch, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers released Shilo Sanders. The move hit fast and hard, shocking fans who couldn't believe how quickly things unraveled. But insiders revealed the full story. Shilo had already been on thin ice. His preseason numbers were underwhelming, and his spot on the depth chart was shaky, even before the fight. The punch just made the decision easier. It wasn't just one mistake that ended his shot. It was a mix of timing, pressure, and a system that doesn't wait for second chances.
To say that Kevin Stefanski and the Browns are sabotaging Shedeur Sanders is not only false, it's wildly disrespectful and disingenuous. So you mean to tell me, and this is not me taking shots at anybody who said it, but you mean to tell me that a guy who has dedicated his life and his career to the game and the development of players has chosen Shedeur Sanders as the one to sabotage, the son of an NFL legend?
For Deion Sanders, the situation made one thing clear. Staying calm was the smartest move he could have made. Publicly scolding his son wouldn't fix the real issue. Shilo's roster spot was already hanging by a thread. The punch only sped up what was probably coming anyway. The difference between Coach Prime's college energy and his new NFL-era mindset was striking. Back at Jackson State in Colorado, Deion would have gone on camera defending his boys, questioning play calling, and reminding everyone that his sons were elite talents. But the NFL, that's a whole new battlefield. No special treatment, no excuses, just performance and professionalism. Shilo's release hit like a thunderclap across the league. By August 26th, as teams were cutting rosters down to 53 players, the Sanders name was trending everywhere. The headlines weren't just about the punch anymore. They were about legacy, pressure, and what it really means to grow up in the shadow of greatness. Social media and sports networks ran wild with takes, some sympathetic, others harsh. To many, Shilo's downfall wasn't just one bad moment. It was a wake-up call about how unforgiving the NFL truly is. Fame might open the door, but it won't keep you in the room. And Deion knew that better than anyone. Within hours of the news breaking, Shilo Sanders was trending everywhere. Some fans flooded social media with support, while others came hard with criticism. A split that showed just how divided people were about the Sanders family's jump from college fame to NFL reality. Shilo's agents tried to stay positive, saying another team might pick him up off waivers, but the timing couldn't have been worse. Teams were racing to finalize rosters, and most were focused on veteran players who could help right away, not young prospects carrying behavioral red flags. The waiver process didn't help either. Since teams with worse records get first dibs, Shilo's future was completely out of his hands. Then Michael Irvin, Hall of Famer and longtime Sanders family friend, dropped a different take. He claimed Tampa Bay's move was strategic. Cutting Shilo early wasn't a punishment, but a play. According to Irvin, the Bucs hoped the chaos of final cuts would bury Shilo's name in the shuffle, giving them a shot to quietly sign him back to their practice squad later on. If true, it meant the story wasn't over just yet. Maybe, just maybe, there was still one last door open for Shilo Sanders. Michael Irvin's take gave fans a bit of hope, hinting that the Buccaneers still saw something in Shilo Sanders. He suggested Tampa Bay valued Shilo's toughness and special teams potential, even after the punch that got him released. Inside, sources backed that up, saying the team respected his professionalism and how quickly he showed remorse after the incident, a rare show of maturity in a heated moment. Outside the NFL, another surprise twist emerged. The Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League quietly added both Shilo and Shedeur Sanders to their negotiation list. That move signaled a backup plan. If the NFL doors stayed closed, the CFL might be the next step north of the border. It's not uncommon. Plenty of players have rebuilt their reputations there and clawed their way back to the big league. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders had his own storm brewing in Cleveland. Drafted in the 5th round, 144th overall, expectations were high, but his preseason finale against the Los Angeles Rams turned ugly. Sacks, missed reads, shaky confidence, you name it. Now even his roster spot looked uncertain. Media outlets jumped all over it, turning the Sanders brothers' struggles into headline gold. Analysts compared their NFL journeys like they were a reality show. Two sons of a legend trying to prove that fame doesn't guarantee success, especially when the league doesn't care about last names. Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back when talking about Shedeur Sanders' preseason slump. On ESPN, he went straight for it, calling out Shedeur's poor play while defending Browns coach Kevin Stefanski, saying there was no sabotage, just struggle. His tone was sharp, pushing back on fans claiming the coach was holding Shedeur back. Former N.F.L. QB Dan Orlovsky backed that view, siding with the Browns staff and blasting the idea of any team bias against the Sanders family. Their takes exposed a bigger truth. There was a major gap between public hype and league reality. Fans saw star potential. NFL scouts saw unfinished projects. The Sanders brothers were learning the hard way that college glory doesn't always translate to the pros. Their famous last name opened doors, but also put them under a microscope few could handle. Every mistake felt bigger, every misstep louder. Online reactions split fast. Some fans swore the league had it out for the family, claiming, "The NFL hates Deion. They're sabotaging his sons." Others were colder, saying both brothers had been overprotected and overhyped, leaving them unprepared for the grind of pro football. And then came the deeper debate, nepotism versus pressure. Critics argued the Sanders name gave them chances others never got, but others fired back, saying the weight of being Deion's sons was a curse as much as a blessing. Every move compared to a legend's shadow. By the time the dust started to settle, Shilo's release wasn't just a story about one bad punch. It became a symbol of how tough it is for second-generation NFL players to carve out their own identity in a league that judges everyone by results, not reputation. The NFL is full of sons of legends who couldn't live up to their father's legacy, from early career stumbles of the Manning brothers to the forgotten names of Hall of Famers' kids who never made it past training camp. Carrying a famous last name in this league is a double-edged sword. The pressure to perform like your parent without the guarantee of inheriting their gifts is a storm few can truly weather. For Deion Sanders, seeing both Shilo and Shedeur battle through setbacks at the same time might have been the hardest test of his life. This wasn't Primetime the player anymore. It was Deion, the father and coach, watching his sons face the same ruthless system he once conquered. His reaction said everything: calm, spiritual, focused. Instead of fighting the league or defending their mistakes, he leaned on faith over fury, showing he'd learned that even his influence had limits. His mindset, that his sons didn't have to be the best, but had to give their best, showed how much he'd grown. It was no longer about showmanship, but survival in a business that eats pressure for breakfast. Social media made it even tougher. Within hours of Shilo's punch, the clip racked up millions of views, dissected frame by analysts and fans alike. The internet turned one mistake into a full-blown saga, leaving the family no space to breathe or heal privately. Now, the Sanders family's N.F.L. story has become more than just sports gossip. It's a real-time lesson in fame, family, and how heavy a legacy can be. As Shilo's future hangs in limbo, his next move could define whether he becomes a comeback story or a cautionary one. As Shedeur Sanders continues battling to prove he belongs on an NFL roster, Deion Sanders is learning his own lessons, not just as a coach, but as a father navigating the storm of raising elite athletes in today's spotlight. His calm, spiritual response to Shilo's meltdown wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. Choosing peace over public outrage might have been the most important coaching call of his entire career, one that put his son's mental and emotional health before public perception. The Sanders family's NFL story is far from finished, but what happened in August 2025 will forever mark a turning point, a raw, defining moment that showed how even fame and legacy can't shield you from the truth of professional sports. Whether this ends as a comeback or a cautionary tale, one thing's for sure: the world just got a front-row seat to what resilience, family, and faith really look like under fire. The lesson here? Even legends have to grow, learn, and adapt. And the Sanders family is proving that in real time. Like, share, and drop a comment below. Do you think Shilo deserves another NFL shot, or should he rebuild somewhere new? And don't forget to subscribe for more wild stories and updates. See you on the next one.